Hello everyone, welcome to Syra's Kitchen Corner. So I was just talking to a friend of mine who's also a neighbor, and she's pregnant and she wasn't having the best day. So I thought, you know what? What could be a better way of cheering somebody up than making brownies for them? So I'm gonna make some brownies and let me show you how I do it. I have my pan heating up here, and to this I am adding a stick and a half of butter. So yeah, these brownies do require a lot of butter. And I'm gonna allow my butter to melt just a little bit before I add my other ingredients. Once the butter has somewhat melted, I'm adding about 1.25 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And I'm going to allow these to melt with the butter so that we have a nice, luscious chocolate mixture. I like my brownies to be extra chocolatey, so I am also adding about 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. I'm adding a regular cocoa powder, which is, not dark chocolate, but I've also made them with dark chocolate cocoa powder, and they turn out amazing if people like dark chocolate. Keep in mind that the heat is really, really low here. And now I'm going to add 1/3 cup of brown sugar to it. To this, I'm adding 1/2 cup of regular sugar. I've switched over to a whisk here to make sure everything is really nicely well combined, and I'm going to cook it for another 3 to 4 minutes to make sure everything is really nicely combined. And then we're going to cool this mixture before we add our eggs to it. My chocolate mixture has cooled down enough to where I can add my eggs to it. If I add the eggs while it's still hot, they're going to curdle and not mix up well. You need to see if you can put a finger in and your finger doesn't burn. My hands are washed, I promise. And that's when you know that it's ready for the eggs. I have 5 eggs here, and I'm going to add them one by one and mix them in really well. I'm making a bigger batch, so I'm using 5 eggs, but if you want to make a smaller batch, you can use 3 eggs, and you can just tone down the measurements. And you'll see after you've added about 3 or 4 eggs how the mixture is going to start coming together and leaving the bowl, and that's exactly what you want. Here's our last and final egg. I've mixed in all the eggs, and this is what your batter should look like. It should be thick but runny. Now I'm going to add just like 1/4 teaspoon of salt in here. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla. There's a simple method for making brownies. If you want cakey brownies, you add more flour to it. And if you want more gooey brownies, you add less flour to it. So to all of this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of flour. And I have also ditched my whisk, and I'm going to use my spatula to just incorporate the flour. I am not using any baking powder, baking soda. I know that some people like to use that. I like to leave my brownies a little bit more flat, but really gooey. And this is what we're aiming for. At the very end, to this, I am going to add a little bit of chocolate chips. Now, it's totally optional at this point. You can also add pecans to it. You can add walnuts, whatever you like in your brownies. My son, he loves chocolate chips, and I know I'm gonna give 1/2 of it to my friend, and 1/2 of it probably is gonna be eaten by my son and my husband. I'm eyeballing it, but probably about a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So I've prepared my Pyrex dish here, any kind of oven-safe dish. I learned this trick online on Instagram. I forget who taught this, I apologize, but basically took my parchment paper, crumpled it up, put it under water for a little bit, then shook off the rest of the water, and now it fits really well into my dish, and I don't have to fight my parchment paper. And now I am going to pour in our brownie mixture and make sure that it goes to all the corners and nooks and crannies. So here, This may be overkill for some people, so please skip this step if you're not a chocolate, really chocolate person. But I don't know anybody who loves brownies and who's not a really chocolate person. So I am topping my brownies off with some more chocolate chips here, just to make it even more chocolatey. I'm going to bake my brownies in a preheated oven that's at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes and I just pulled the brownies out. I put a skewer through, it came out clean. That means they're perfectly done. I am going to let them cool a little bit before I cut into them. The brownies are a little bit cool to the touch, but my son wants them really bad. So I'm gonna take out the half that I'm going to give to my neighbors so that then my son can dig into it. But I wanted to show you how awesome they look. I mean, my knife is gliding like butter through them, but let me show you what the cross section looks like. Just look at this. How amazing does this look? And obviously now I'm gonna try it, and I wish you could do it too because it smells great as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.